Hi, I'm Stewart Mader, and this is 21 Days of Wiki Adoption. Today's topic, permissions. One of the things I hear from people who are new to using wikis in an organization is the question of permissions. And they'll ask, well, if I put something on a wiki, won't everybody be able to see it? I need to keep certain things secure and private. Some projects aren't viewable to everybody. How do I do that? Well, fortunately, wikis that are designed for use in organizations have very good permissioning features that let you restrict both the ability to view and edit pages at the individual page and user level, and also for an entire wiki space. And the way that works is, let's take an example of a press release someone's drafting. Got a person in the PR department, they need to draft a press release. So initially they might create a new page and only give themselves read and write access, draft that press release, and then when they're ready, invite 2 or 3 colleagues in the PR department to help them revise the draft. So they then give those 3 people read and write access to the wiki. Those people could then come in, view the document, and make edits to it. Then, once the press release is ready to be distributed publicly via PR Newswire and so forth, they'll send the press release out to the public, and they might also decide to make that page in the wiki readable or viewable by everyone in the organization. Of course, not editable, because you don't want somebody to change a news release that's a one-way communication of information, but you can now let everybody read it since it's public knowledge. That's how you might use a wiki and the permission structure in it to keep content private when it needs to be, and then open it up to greater public access as needed. A second point about permissions is, when you first create a space for your team or group, it's important to think about making your space as open as possible and restricting only those pages that need to be private and secure. Why do I say this? Well, if you create a wiki space and at the very first start you put all your content in it and you don't think about what needs to be private and what can be viewable by others, it's really hard down the line, a few months or years down the line, to say, well, gee, we should have made our wiki space more open. Let's try to go in and figure out now what content can be viewable and what needs to be secure. That's a tough prospect, and it's probably not going to happen. The better approach is, on day 1 of creating your wiki, start by thinking about making it as open as possible. Only restrict what needs to be closed. How do you do that? Well, every time you create a new page or you add new content to your wiki, take a moment and think about it. Does this content need to be secure? Is this a private draft we're working on, or a new project that we're just getting started? Or is this public knowledge about something our group is working on that lots of people need access to anyway, and putting it on the wiki might just reduce the volume of emails or phone calls asking for information? If your information is the former, use permissions and keep it private. Restrict it to view and edit by just the people in your group. If your information is the latter, and it can be made public, do so. That way, as you build more and more content on your wiki that is publicly viewable by others in your organization, you'll reduce the volume of email and phone calls looking for repetitive information about the projects you work on. So the bottom line is, permissions on your wiki are really important. In an organization, there are obviously levels of access for knowledge, and that should translate to your wiki. But remember, start as open as possible and only restrict content that needs to be private and secure.